Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're going to be waiting for a couple of minutes before we begin. We're going to wait for the rest of the people to join. Thank you for the time. And we're going to just wait 2 more minutes, and then we're going to begin with the masterclass today. Guys, thank you for joining. There's a lot of people joining in, so just 2 more minutes and we will begin. Okay, before we begin, everybody, at the end of the presentation, there's going to be a section where I'm going to open the floor for questions. You can type in your question and send it over during the meeting, and I will respond to all the questions that I can at the end. This is not going to be a very long masterclass, but we will cover all of the new features that we have developed and launch into the platform. Okay, we're just going to wait for 1 more minute, and then we're going to start. Okay, so let's start with today's masterclass. The goal of today's session is to show you the new capabilities and tools that we have implemented into our platform. Some of these tools are already fully rolled out to all of the users in Valutico. Some of them are going to be rolled out progressively. So we're going to roll them out in batches. Okay? So if you do not see any of or some of the tools that I'm going to be showing you today, please do not worry. They should be on your platform short enough. Okay? So let me just go ahead and share my screen, and then we can begin. Okay, great. So now you should be seeing my screen, and I want to begin this presentation by going to the private markets module. As you are aware, you already can go ahead and update some supporting documentation to get the company description and full information, but we have now added some capabilities into the platform. So now within the company name search, we can run a quick search of private companies, and the platform will go ahead and try to recognize these companies so we can pull out the information automatically. If you have had a meeting or a session with me, I usually use a couple of companies as examples. But for example, if I go and search for DPR Construction, private company in the US, the platform will already give me the name of the company, and I will be able to pull that information, the description, industry, etc., from the platform for the company automatically. You can use any private company in this data that you want. For example, there's a company from Peru where I'm from that is like a 7-Eleven. You can actually go ahead and find that company. That's a private company, and this actually works for private company lookup and finding better and finding your company a little bit easier. Okay? This way, when you select the company, the platform will already be able to populate the information with AI much faster and simpler than before. Okay, before you needed to input the specific company name and be very precise, now you can find it automatically with the platform. Even though it's a small improvement, it's very powerful because this can actually go ahead and reduce the time on your process. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go to open an example valuation, and I'm going to go straight to the peer selection where I want to show you the new look and feel of this section. Okay, sorry, that's the business plan. Within the peer selection, we have updated the look and feel of the peer table. Now that table is a little bit more static. You're always going to see the bottom line of the table. You can move the peers around here in the middle. And we have added a very special section here at the beginning, that is the financials in local currency. So now you're going to be able to check and see the financial overall data of each company within the same table. You're going to find the sales of the companies, the EBITDA, EBIT, and net income of the companies that you select as peers. And now it's much easier to organize this table. So if you want to move things around, let's say you want to see the EBITDA multiples first, you can just drag and drop. The same with the financial, let's say, financials in local currency. So you can move everything around much easier in the platform now. Okay. Again, this is just for you to be able to move around, and we're also rolling out the transactions new table. That is basically the same new layout that we have in the peers in a couple of days as well. You can do the same, move things around much easier, and organize your table a little bit more seamlessly. Okay. With that in mind, let's go and move then to our cost of capital step. As you are aware, we made changes to how we calculate the WACC in our latest release. We introduced the cost of capital as a separate step section where you can have this dynamic tree where you can move around and update your WACC. Now, within this update, we have launched or implemented new and further features for you. For example, if you go to your risk-free rate, now you're going to be able to not only use the 10-year government bonds, but also 20-year and 30-year bonds as well. We have implemented new graphics that are a little bit more aligned to each of the topics. When it comes to the spread of a risk-free rate, we can now use multiple options between public company group median, industry median, and also our rating analysis. Remember that now within the business plan, you can perform a debt rating analysis that will basically give you a credit score based on your interest coverage forecast, and you're going to find an implied credit spread based on that rating. Now you can automatically use that implied credit spread in your cost of capital section to calculate your cost of debt. We have also improved some of the graphics that we show and gave you new capabilities when it comes to adjusting target debt to equity or debt and equity ratios in the platform. Okay. There are further improvements that we're planning for the cost of capital section. So just be aware these should be also updated in our next release. Now, moving forward, let's go to the valuation overview where we have implemented a couple of additional features. To begin with, valuation methods. As you are aware, a couple of releases ago, we updated some of our valuation methods, including the flow to equity valuation method. We made the flow to equity dynamic, so the cost of equity was calculated every year of the forecast based on the capital structure of the company. But now we have reintroduced the simplified version of the flow to equity. And that's why you can see two flow to equities here. The simplified version basically is going to take a static cost of equity coming from our WACC table, and we're going to use that discount rate to make the discounted of forecasted flows. Okay. The main difference is going to be, as you're going to see right now, that the full flow to equity has a calculation for the cost of equity on every year of the forecast period, and then it discounts the free cash flow to equity. As the simplified flow to equity just has the free cash flow to equity and it discounted with the static cost of equity. Okay. One more thing I want to show you and to mention in this screen is going to be the option to calculate your valuation based on equity value per share, not only equity value or enterprise value now. Okay. This is a feature that will be rolled out progressively to all of our users, but within the change parameters section, you're going to be able to go ahead and set the total number of shares for your company. Okay. Once you set this up, you're going to be able to select the type of valuation you're doing, either enterprise value, equity value, or equity value per share. And basically the platform will recalculate, in this case, the equity value per share of the company. At the moment, that should be total shares outstanding. If you have any recommendations, those are more than welcome, and you can of course discuss that with your correspondent CSMs at any point in time. Besides that, we have launched a couple of further improvements when it comes to our business plan. Let me just show you that right away. First off, we have improved our graphics for benchmarking systems. Remember that now you have the benchmarking plus option here on the right-hand side of the accounts. So if you access that, you're going to see the different types of benchmarking that you can use, and basically graphics benchmarking your information or your forecast versus different types of market benchmarks. And now you can go ahead and find the formulas for each of the accounts much easier. You just have to hover over the name of each account and you can find all of the formulas that you're going to be reviewing or that you want or need to review. That is also applicable for the cash flow analysis. If you want to review the formulas for the cash flow calculations, you can hover over the names and you can find them. And same for validation or credit ratios for each of these KPIs or metrics. You can just go ahead and review the formulas right by hovering over the names. Okay. I think mostly those are the updates that we have pushed so far. Besides the updates that I just showed you, we have pushed for certain bug fixes. Okay. So for a couple of things that were not working fully, or we're having a couple of instability, we have launched lots of improvements and fixes. So the platform should be much more stable now as well. Regarding the new updates, I think that's going to be it on my end. I told you that's going to be a short meeting, but I wanted to give you the possibility to ask me a couple of questions regarding what I just presented or any other topic that you want to know about. So I see that there are already questions coming in. So please, guys, if you have any other questions, please just type them on the Q&A section. I will start to read the questions and respond them right now. Okay, that's actually a good question. At the moment, the valuation per share would be for the pro rata value per share, the total shares outstanding of the company, and basically we do a simple calculation of value per share. Again, if you have recommendations where you want to go ahead and give us an improvement recommendation, you can go ahead and send that over. We can review it and work on it, and then we can of course implement it into the platform. Okay. I'm gonna wait for other questions. But if there's no more questions at the moment, okay, there we have another question. Okay, so I have a question regarding the business plan that not allow us to input a negative number of capex. I'm guessing this is the other way around. The capex should always be negative in the platform. So in case you have an liquidation of an asset, you should input a positive capex in that time. If I'm guessing that correctly, that's something that we're working on. At the moment, there's a workaround that that your CSM will be able to explain. But we're working on at the moment in a new account that will allow you to account for those asset dispositions. Okay? That's something that we're aware of and that is being handled at the moment. So Matthew, regarding your non-listed data multiples, remember that in the transactions module, you're going to find private transactions as well, not only public data. When it comes to public peers information or to public company multiples, we use fully public companies. If you have a recommendation of a database that will give us private company information, we can see the possibility of implementing it at the platform. But at the moment, the public peer section is going to be based just on public companies, and the transaction section will contain both private and public data for transactions. Okay. So Rakesh, at the beginning of the evaluation process, you need to select the maturity of the company that is being evaluated. The maturity of the company will allow us to recommend you valuation methods that align more to those of the company that you have selected. And we do have the option to be a maturity scale up or growth or even a startup. We have some certain valuation methods that will be accounted for startups, like the venture capital valuation method or other valuation methods that account for this size of companies. But yes, the idea is that with the maturity of the company, we can recommend you the methods to use for that. Remy here, the time frame for all of these features, most of them are already fully live. The rest of them should be rolled out progressively in the upcoming weeks. I cannot give you a full time for rollout, but they should be rolling out in the upcoming weeks. Again, keep in mind every 2 months we roll new features and new updates. These should be done much earlier than the next rollout, of course. Okay, I'm having a question regarding the company details and description. If AI can be used to increase or extend the company description. At the moment, what you can do is regenerate the description using the AI again. Okay, so if you're not fully satisfied with the information or the description of the company that the AI has pulled, you can either click the Copilot button again. So basically, let's go ahead and make a quick example. So if we are selecting the same company that I showed you before, and we run a Copilot analysis, and we find the company description is not sufficient for us, you can either change this or edit this manually, or click the Copilot button again. This will tell the platform that the information is not fully correct, and then it will regenerate a description for the company. Okay? I have a question regarding how to change the report template color palette. Okay. When it comes to the reports, remember, guys, there's two ways to change the colors for the reports. First, within the profile button, under the theme section, you're going to be able to check the exporters section of the platform. Here, you can change the colors for your report, and you can use any color that you'd like. Again, I'm making changes live to the colors. So basically, once this is done, you can save the changes at the bottom left corner. Or remember that you also have the option to go ahead and create your own custom PowerPoint reports. That would be within the export section of the platform. Top right corner, you're going to find the Add Custom Template button right there. And then you can select the Valuation report in PowerPoint. That will take you to this editor where you're going to see a preview of the report. You can select the specific sections and slides for the sections as well. Select what is going to be included and what not. And then you can, of course, change those colors as well. Okay. Okay, I have a question regarding startups again. If there's going to be a function in the future where we can only put the forecasted financials, so only we can start generating profits in the future. So as you are aware, at the moment, the platform requires one historical year of data. Okay. The workaround at the moment is that if there's no data or the data is not representative, you can just input that in the platform and use any valuation method that just uses forecast cash flows. Any DCF method or any discounting method just uses forecasted flows. So they should not consider historical years. If you have some forecasted years that are non-profitable, the venture capital method will allow you to just select one exit year in the future where you're profitable to calculate the value based on that year. But at the moment, we have not plans to change or add any new valuation method in that regard. If you have a recommendation for us, or if you have a valuation method in mind, please let us know so we can contemplate that in the future. But at the moment, that's not something that we're planning. Okay. Raul, I have a question from Raul asking if the risk rate changes with the country of the company or how it's fitted. Remember that at the beginning of the evaluation process, you select a country for your company. So we base those risk rates on the country that you select at that stage of the evaluation. Okay. So the company that I have here, Tienda Stambo, this is the company from Peru. So if I go to the cost of capital section, okay, let me go ahead and go to the cost of capital section there. You should see that my risk rate, for example, is 6.58%. That's going to be the risk rate for Peru in 2025. And you can actually see Peru right there in 2025, or in the 20-year government bond, you also see the name Peru. Okay. Okay, I have a question regarding how to change the horizon for the forecasting period. Of course, remember within the business plan at the top right corner, you're going to find a time frame button. Okay, that time frame button will allow you to change the start and end date of the modeling. So the start date can be 2024, just one historical year, all the way down to 2025 historical years, and the end date can be changed to be just 3 up to 10 forecasted years. So right now we have a forecast from 24 to 29, but let's say I want to forecast from 2022 all the way down to 2031. I can just make that change in the time frame button. As you can see, this is already updated here. Okay. Having a question regarding personalized valuation reports. Remember, guys, that when it comes to PowerPoint, you can customize the PowerPoint report as I mentioned before. Go into the export section of the platform, and then go ahead and adding a custom template at the top right corner, selecting valuation report in PowerPoint, and there you're going to be able to customize the PowerPoint report, make it a little bit more personalized. And when it comes to Word reports, remember that you can use our template placeholders to just go ahead and use any format of Word that you want and just tell the platform what to print and where. So as an example, if you wanted to print the financial projections of the company that you're evaluating on page 4 of our Word report, you just need to copy the placeholder and paste it there. Okay. Once you have set all the placeholders that you want, at the top right corner, you can add the valuation report in Word, upload your document, and the platform will print that information accordingly. Okay, I have a question from Guy that I'm going to respond in a second. I have a question regarding company industries. We're working implementing a new industry classification. I will not give a heads up on what that's it at the moment, but it's a new industry classification that will allow for more granularity when starting a new project. Okay. I have a question regarding Rakesh, if it's possible to use the venture capital method in the valuation. And yes, it is. Remember, guys, that on the valuation method screen at the top right corner, you can go ahead and find the venture capital methods right here based on either on sales, EBITDA, EBIT, or price earning multiples. And you can use any of those valuation methods with in your valuation projects. And last but not least, sorry, I have another question here that just popped up. Okay, so I'm having a question regarding the forecast of the business plan. Remember, guys, that the business plan is forecasted originally or as soon as you land here based on a benchmarking system. Okay, the question was that if the forecast was automatically forecasted using an interpolation between the last historical year and terminal growth year. Remember that at the beginning, when you first land here, this is going to be based on a benchmarking system. But remember, you have the option to use our interpolate feature if you want, or keep constant feature here. So you can actually go ahead and forecast or manipulate the forecast as you wish. Okay. But the baseline or the first time we land here, this would be based on a benchmarking system. And you can find that benchmarking system in the tab called benchmarking here at the top left. Okay. Here you can see the 4 types of benchmark that we can use, and you can select either of them to work in your evaluation. Okay, I have a question from Morris. He says that if you use EBITDA for a private company as your earnings basis, you can adopt the EBITDA multiple derived from the qualitative assessment. Okay, let's keep in mind that the qualitative assessment does not derive a multiple, but it derives a discount. Okay, the discount that derives from the qualitative assessment will be applied. Okay, this discount right here will be applied to the median of the public companies' multiples. Okay, the idea here, as we're working with public companies that are a little bit larger than a private company, this discount will be applied to the median multiple of those companies that we have selected, so we can tropicalize their data to our reality. We can make their multiple smaller, so it's more related to the reality of our company. Okay. And I have one more question from Guy regarding our new Dawn Diligence tool. I can give you at the moment a quick summary on what Dawn Diligence is. Our CEO Paul and our new partner Max are going to be having a webinar explaining further about Dawn Diligence in a couple of days. You can find the webinar registration on our LinkedIn page. But Dawn Diligence is the new tool that we have put together for a due diligence process leveraging AI. Basically, the idea is that you have an analyst that can work 10 up to 15 times faster than any other analyst at a fraction of the cost. And you can go ahead and process data uh, in any quantity that you want. You will have the full analysis and impact of those questions on your company. And basically, the idea is that you interpret that data. The platform also combines an integrated virtual data room plus an automatic task generation. And with that, we try to prevent also hallucinations from our AI. Okay? Um, it's a very, very interesting tool. If you want to know a little bit more about that, I would really, really recommend you to join the webinar from Paul and Max. And again, you can reach out to your corresponding CSMs with a question regarding due diligence, and we can of course set up a meeting with you guys to explain further about the new tool. Yeah. I see one more question coming in from Mauricio. So Mauricio is asking if it's possible to discount the terminal value at a discount rate other than the WACC. At the moment, we use the Gordon growth model, so the WACC is part of the calculation that we're going to be using. In methods like flow to equity that we do not use the WACC and we use the cost of equity, we are going to be using the cost of equity to make that kind of calculation, but it's not that we can change that for specific valuation methods. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm gonna just wait for one more minute to see if there's any other question up to this point. And if there's no more questions, I told you at the beginning this was gonna be a short webinar, a short masterclass. We're working on new features and updates to the features that I have presented today, and we should be introducing them for next release in early August. If you have questions regarding anything that I explained today or regarding due diligence, please feel free to reach out to your corresponding CSMs, and we can set up a meeting with you to just go ahead and review and see anything or any topic that you require. Okay. Have a great rest of your days. Have a great rest of your week, and speak with you guys soon. Bye bye.